Love it.
We all good to go?
Yes, we are.
It's easy.
Super.
Okay, here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Industry Insider webinar series. Today, we are heading off to Africa. Now, most people, when they think of Africa, their minds are immediately going to go to Eastern and Southern with all the usual suspects, Uganda, Rwanda, Kenya, Tanzania, Malawi, Zambia. I'm going to add them all in. Botswana, Namibia, South Africa, of course, and, of course, Zimbabwe. Many people seem to, or at least in my world, and our guests will confirm or deny this in a moment when I formally introduce her to you, people think of Northern Africa more with Europe and or the Middle East. Egypt is often lumped with the Middle East, even though it's African. And, of course, our today's subject is Morocco, which, due to its access and proximity to Europe, a lot of people don't necessarily think immediately of Africa with its Muslim background, plus many other religions. And its geographical location often falls out of the Africa sphere, but it is Africa. And today we're going to learn about maybe why it's not thought of Africa and everything else about it with our special guest coming from us, I'm not sure, either New York or Montreal. I'll clarify that in a minute. It is Mahima Tripathi from the Moroccan National Tourism Office. And Mahima, welcome to the webinar.
Thank you.
Are you in New York or Montreal?
I am based in Toronto, but I am right now in Chicago.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize you were in Toronto.
Yes.
We could have had you in the building.
Yes.
Oh, well, next time we'll do that. So the reason I mentioned New York and Montreal is that on the Moroccan National Tourism Office's website, their two offices listed are New York and Montreal. So you being based in Toronto, does that mean you are officially have an office in Toronto, or it's just you're based here?
So we are the representatives of the Moroccan National Tourism Office. We are a marketing agency wearing the hat of Moroccan National Tourism Office. Today, it's all about Morocco, and that's who we are today. Gotcha. New York is the main office. Montreal is the satellite office, and we are an extension of the team in Toronto, Vancouver, and LA.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. So any of our agents out there, and we sort of do this at the end of our webinars, if you do need to reach out to the Tourism Board directly for any marketing support or otherwise, you have many offices and contacts, which we'll throw up on the screen at the end of the webinar. So as it is a webinar, I'm not going to get into too much depth, at least at the beginning, because I don't want to steal the thunder of our presenter, Mahima, here. Other than to say that I was in Morocco a couple of years ago, and sort of going on from my point in my introduction, I found it, obviously it is African because it is on the African continent, but I found it distinctly different than the other countries I mentioned, East and South, with that classic African vibe of wildlife. While there is wildlife in Morocco, it's not that type of destination. So before we actually get into your presentation, Mahima, is there anything you'd like to intro us with about Morocco itself?
You said it. You pointed it out very well. It is not the wildlife type of a destination, even though it's in the continent of Africa, but it is on the northern tip of Africa and therefore influenced heavily by Europe. It's a cultural hub, and it's a cultural hub. It's got active lifestyle. It's got over 3,000 miles, and I'm using the word miles, of coastline. But I'll also emphasize that the Atlantic coastline alone is 3,000 kilometers long. So it's not entirely a desert. It's got the mountains, it's got the desert, it's got the coastal, it's got the inland. So there's so much to discover in Morocco.
Yeah, and that's what I learned on my visit there too. Not being that well versed on what Morocco had to offer at the time. From a geographical point of view, as you mentioned, it's got the famous desert as well, the mountains, equally famous Atlas Mountains. But its coastline was very, very enlightening for me as well as some of the greenery. So it's got a good mix. And what I really loved is as I flew in and out, we flew over the straits, the little gap between southern Spain and northern Morocco, and that little Straits of Gibraltar, I think it is. Very narrow waterway, obviously leading from the Mediterranean into the Atlantic or vice versa. So to your point, the proximity to Europe is incredibly close. You can ferry across, drive across, all that type of thing. However, I guess I don't want to take away from any of your points. So what we will do now is we'll pass it over to Mahima, and she will present all about Morocco.
Super. Thank you so much for that intro, Don. You were not taking any thunder away. You were actually helping put everything in perspective. So fantastic. Perfect. So here we are, ready to discover Morocco. And like Don mentioned, there's so much to Morocco. What we are going to talk about today is just 10 reasons why Morocco. And I'll kickstart that with a video to have you all inspired. So why should Morocco be the next destination? Let's start by accessibility. It's important for all of us to get there. So let's talk about getting there. It's in the center of the world. It is accessible. And starting from the US, we've got a lot of these are nonstop and direct flights into Morocco, serviced through New York, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, Miami, and now the latest one is from Los Angeles, direct, 26 direct flights every week. That's only the US. Let's come to Canada. We've got Toronto and Montreal, 23 direct flights into Morocco from the two gateways. And the newest one is the Air Transat, first ever connection into Agadir, which we will talk about in a bit, but it's the first ever connection for North America, and we're thrilled about it. It's with Air Transat that launched on the 12th of June, so it's a really, really new connection. Once you are in Morocco, getting around the country is also very easy with high-speed train that connects Tangier, which Don was talking about, going into Casablanca and Rabat. The highways, and all of you in Toronto will understand when I say the Moroccan highways don't have potholes. They are good network. They make it for a fantastic intercity drive, and it's so much easier getting around Morocco. Plus, there are domestic flights. Here's reason number 2. Culture and heritage is woven into everyday life. When going to Morocco, make sure you carry an empty suitcase for your flight back home, because come on, you go into the Medina, it's bustling with life. There is so much of color, artisans, workshops, the fragrances, the spices. It's so woven into everyday life of a Moroccan that you just can't escape it without spending a few dollars here and there. I'll just leave it to a few right now. And hospitality. No matter where in the world we go, we want to be felt welcomed. So do your guests. That's what Moroccan hospitality is about. Marhaba, or welcome. That welcome comes from the heart. As I mentioned earlier, we are the rep agency for the Moroccan National Tourism Office, and I can tell you my first experience when putting the roadshow together for Morocco, dealing with Moroccans, I realized what the hospitality and the hospitable nature really meant. everybody's just so warm and welcoming, and they're proud about having guests experience Morocco. So you will see that, and your guests will also get to see that when they travel through the country. A reason why some of the known icons, Yves Saint Laurent, Jimi Hendrix, they felt at home when they were in Morocco. That's exactly how you and your guests would feel. It is a country of year-round beauty. And I put a little disclaimer here because summer for some of us can get a little balmy with 104 Fahrenheit or 40 degrees centigrade. But throughout the year, look at the temperatures. I've got both Fahrenheit and centigrade here up on the slide. It's 80 degree Fahrenheit, 27 centigrade. Like, that's awesome weather. For snowbirds looking to get away, here is a hidden gem for them. And we will dive into Agadir, and I'll bring that up again because that's going to be a next hotspot. But here's the fun fact. A Canadian dollar gets you 7 Moroccan dirhams. And to put that in perspective, and I've got US giving 10 Moroccan dirhams, to put that in perspective, a meal at a 5-star, and I did room service, so 5-star room service, $35, $40 dinner, like, that's reasonable. That really helps you take your dollar long way. Talking about room service and accommodations, it is a destination with welcoming accommodations. No wonder all of these well-known global brands, the Hiltons, the Marriotts, the Fairmonts, they have made a home away from home for you and your travelers. But what's unique to Morocco, and I really love this concept of riads. Riads is only in Morocco, which is a traditional Moroccan home. And to recognize what a riad is or not, they typically had an enclosed garden right in the center of the home or in the courtyard. Those riads, traditionally Moroccan homes, have been now turned into accommodations. And they too range from 3-star to 5-star, 4-star, working 3-star to 4-star to 5-star. And you can categorize and put your clients into different experiences depending on their budgets. But these are one-of-a-kind stays. For those looking for off the beaten path, I don't want to stay in a branded property, riads could be a fantastic option. Some of them are even relais chateau properties. They range from, and again, just going back into riads, they could be anywhere from 9 rooms to 30 rooms. So if you've got a small group going, a family going, riad again can be a fantastic option to consider. Over to the gallery of destinations. Look at this image. You've got the sand. And again, something that Dawn was mentioning, you've got the sand, you've got the greenery, you've got the inlands, you've got the coastal. You've got so many destinations in one destination. How can you go wrong? And here are some of those cities that we are going to talk about in the next couple of slides. But if you want to place in, I am just going to move my cursor. You've got Casablanca right here, Essaouira, Tangier that we'll talk about, Fez, Marrakech, Ouarzazate, Agadir, and Dakhla. So let's start with Tangier. 9 miles south of Spain. It actually feels more like Spain than it does of Morocco, but think of it as walking into a Spanish-feeling city, but everything over there feels Moroccan. The hospitality, you can get the Moroccan food, you can see the tiles and the colors that are heavily influenced by Morocco. So you see a blend of Spanish and Moroccan influence coming in Tangier. When in Tangier, one tip that I will give is learn how to make fish tagine. The best tagine, the best fish tagine that I've ever had or made is in Tangier. From there, let's go into Fez, the spiritual and cultural center of Morocco. And we don't just say that. Fez is a city drowning in history. There's so much to see and explore in Fez. It is a car-free walled Medina, and there are over 9,000 alleyways in the Medina. Great way to position it is there are 9,000 ways to get lost in Fez, and therefore they need a travel advisor like you to help them find their way out. Fez is also home to the oldest university, which, by the way, was started by a woman in 1859-80. How amazing is that? Like, some great reasons to go to Morocco, right? Rabat, like any capital city, and actually I would say not any capital city, it's a royal capital city. Kasbah of Oudaya is one of those sites that you will get to see in Rabat, but it is a modern city. You will get the feel and the heritage and the old world charm, but you will also see the modernity living side by side in Rabat. From there, let's go over to Casablanca. And Casablanca becomes a major hub, especially with Royal Air Morocco, flying directly from Toronto, Montreal, New York, Dallas, and Miami, as well as LA into Casablanca. While it is a commercial city, there's not so much to do, but one thing that everybody must do when in Casablanca is the Hassan II Mosque, the picture that you see right over here on the left. It is an architectural marvel. Built on water, the energies inside the mosque are one of a kind. Like, I've been there 3 times now, and I can tell you every time I go there, all I want to do is sit there and pray. And it is open to public. Make sure that there is a slot booked ahead of time. Don't just show up because tickets may or may not be available. My favorite city, and I think it's favorite city for a lot of people, Marrakech. Morocco in a bottle. If I had a chance to ever move or make any place in the world my second home or my home, it would be Marrakech. Such a cosmopolitan city. You feel like you've got so much happening at the same time, from great dining scene to nightlife to busy Jamal Fana Square that you see here on the right side, to music, to activities. Like, in terms of activities, there is sidecar tour. You can go for hot air ballooning. You can go over to Agafay Desert, which is just about an hour away, to the Atlas Mountain, and think about giving back to the community, planting olive trees. There's so much to do in and around Marrakech that it actually gives you a reason to stay there a day longer, maybe 2, 3, 4, and shopping. Yes, absolutely. Essaouira. You can't go wrong with this city. See, I'm in love with Morocco, so Essaouira. It's a coastal town, artsy. I would say the ideal client for Essaouira would be somebody who wants to take it slow and slow down the pace of their tour for once. Go there, read a book. Go there, walk the Medina and just enjoy the artisans. See them paint, see them do some artsy thing around you, and just take it all in, soak it all in. The city is not in a rush at all, and it'll ensure that you are not feeling rushed either. So Essaouira is a city that I would suggest highly being included into every itinerary, where possible, of course. And then Agadir. I told you we'll come here. Agadir is the pearl of the Atlantic and gateway to the Great South. But what's important to know is that it's got 300 days of sunshine. And What comes with that is a whole lot of water sport activities. You can see horse riding happening here in the video. There is surfing, there is jet skiing, there are beach resorts, brands like Club Med, Rio, Fairmont, Sofitel, they have properties and locations here. And of course, there are some all-inclusives as well, which is why I said that if you've got the snowbird clientele, or if you've got somebody who's looking at an extended stay in a beach town, this would be it. And not too far away from Agadir is another surfer's village and a hidden gem called the Hazut. Great for wellness, yoga, retreats. So just putting a few additional ideas out there. And then Ouarzazate. Known as the Hollywood of Africa, some of the well-known movies that were shot here include The Gladiator, The Games of Thrones. Other than being the Hollywood of Africa, it is also known as the road of 1,000 kasbahs. And kasbah is basically a fortified castle. Again, the video talks to a lot that I am talking about here. And lastly, Dakhla. It's really south in Morocco. So if there's somebody who's got a lot of time, again, wants to take it easy, enjoy the Atlantic coastline, make sure they go into Dakhla. Beautiful coral reefs. A diver would, especially a diver, would find this to be their paradise. Not as touristy as one would imagine, and the rest of Morocco is. It is untouched beauty to a great degree. Now let's step into Morocco. There are stories right here waiting to be made, memories to be made. So here we are with a few sample itineraries ready to go. The first one's talking about culture and heritage, where an 8-day imperial city tour would be a good way to have people experience different imperial cities and see a variety from Marrakech, which is cosmopolitan and bustling, to the royal capital city, going into Meknes and Volubilis, as well as finishing in Fez and walking through the largest Medina. For your adventure people, it's a mix of nature and adventure, going into Marrakech, from there going over to the Atlas Mountains. It's not too far away, usually an hour and a half out. Great way to get some activities in. Then going into the Agafay Desert, which is again an hour, 10 minutes out of Marrakech. It is a stony desert, but you can see it's got the touch of sand, and it's good for a night out to watch a starry night. Just enjoy the music and see the starry night. Or go for a little bit of an adventure and go hot air ballooning. For the sun, sand, and sea seekers, there's Marrakech, Essaouira, and Agadir with the Hazut that we talked about. And for those who just want to do all things desert, come into Marrakech, go over to Ouarzazate, and continue on and enjoy some glamping in Merzouga on day 5 and 6. Couple of activities, and I'll quickly go through this. With Marrakech, you can do hot air ballooning, Essaouira with kite surfing. In Agafay, you enjoy the luxury camps and stays. In Rabat, exploring the Medina. There are Medinas everywhere, but Rabat has some great Medina as well. So does Fez. And in Meknes, oh my gosh, I missed this. The wine. Morocco is a wine producing country. They are young wines, but they are wines out there. So go over to Meknes and experience those wines. And Ouarzazate, make sure that visiting the film studio is on the radar. In Merzouga, sandboarding. Like, you've got really good sand dunes in Merzouga for the sandboarders. And then Beni Mellal. And with that, I am looking forward to being able to say marhaba when you come to Morocco.
Thank you, Mahima. That was awesome. As usual, I've just jotted down some questions. Some maybe new that weren't in the presentation. Some are just going to reiterate some of the points you brought up. So again, in no particular order, the lift from North America, as you mentioned, the first couple of slides is very, very good, very comprehensive. What's the flight time from the East Coast into one of the cities?
From New York, it's 6 hours and 50 minutes. From Toronto, I want to say it's about 8 hours and 10 minutes. And it's not too long.
That's manageable, but your new flight direct from LA, that would be how long?
11 hours and 5 minutes.
Yeah, that one's a little bit longer. Okay, fair enough. But it is direct.
I mean, think about somebody living in LA. I know it's long, but it's a direct flight. They don't have to try connecting into JFK or Miami.
Or even into Europe as well, which is an option as well. You could always combine Morocco with the European destination by doing it in Europe. No, you're right. It's a long way, but it is.
John.
And you're flying.
We want them to go to Morocco.
Yeah, exactly. And you're flying to Morocco, so it's worth the 11 hours. This is what we usually say for people going to the South Pacific. Long flights, 18 hours. It's a couple of glasses of wine, a movie or two, and then you sleep. So similar thing for the LA flight into Morocco. On that note, the airport codes for Casablanca is C, Charlie, Mary, Nancy,
M-N.
and Rabat is R, Robert, Bob, Alfred. RBA, just if anyone needs to know those, if you're looking up airfare, of which GoAway can assist you with. Because if you didn't know, we're also a air consolidator, so we can do your air to Morocco for you. It is the crossroads of history, as the map would have shown. Very easy to get across. A couple of interesting parts. It's a bit touchy subject if you speak to a Moroccan. There are some little areas of northern Morocco which are actually still Spanish territory, or part of the kingdom goes back many years because a lot of the invasions when the Muslims, the Moors, came from Africa into Europe, they came through Morocco over the Straits of Gibraltar because it was a narrow spot. So that's where you had a lot of the invasions, both north heading into Europe and Europe coming back down again. So there's a lot of history there, I think, as you saw through Mahima's presentation as well. On the accommodation part, the riads, we stayed at a few of those on our trip, and they are fantastic. Highly recommend you incorporate that into your itinerary, be it a whole lot of riads or one or two along the roads. And our suppliers actually in Morocco, outside of Marrakech, they have a farm, which is also operates as a small, well, not Airbnb, but it's a small hotel. And the owner, apart from being our inbound operator in Morocco, he's also a world-famous chef. So some of the Moroccan food you can learn to cook yourself with cooking lessons, which you can do there or anywhere throughout Morocco. Sorry, I do have a couple of questions for him here. I'm just rattling off some stuff that GoAway can do for you.
It's all good.
One other thing too, which is quite positive. If you don't know, GoAway has adopted some new sustainability practices. We do have a couple of modules in our Travel Academy on that and where we're heading with our sustainability policies and views. One of those is we don't endorse certain things anymore, like camel rides or horseback riding, if the animals in question are not well treated. The positive to hear is if you want to do a camel safari into the Sahara Desert, which again we can help with, we do endorse that because the camels are very well looked after by the local people in the area on the fringe of the Sahara, which also segues nicely into you can also sleep out in the Sahara if you so choose, either in a very nice glamping, which is something Mahima mentioned in her presentation, as well if you wanted to sleep out in the desert. That's another possibility. Now, here's a question for you, Mahima. You mentioned for the coastal thing, 365 days of the year it's you can visit, but is there a high season and is there a low season for Morocco in general?
That's a very good question. So, high season is pretty much March onwards through till November. The early part of December tends to slow down. Come Christmas, it gets busy again, but January and February tend to slow down in terms of travelers. July and August, Moroccans tend to go home visiting their family, but it's not a busy touristy season. Temperatures are one of the biggest reasons
Yeah.
for that.
Okay then. It is a predominantly Muslim country. Am I correct in that?
Yes.
But it's also a very tolerant country with respect to other religions as well. So by extension, the main language is Arabic?
Arabic, French. Actually,
Yes,
the language is Amazigh or Berber.
yes.
That's the language of the land. French, because of the French influence in the northern part of Morocco, there's a bit of Spanish that is being spoken. And in the major cities, at least in the major cities, there's also a lot of English as well being spoken.
Right, because my next point that I'm going to bring up, which I think you'll affirm with me, is that if you wanted to self-drive or go overland through Morocco, it's one of those countries that is really conducive to that type of travel. One, because the roads are so good. Again, when we and our trip, we drove pretty much the best of Morocco, did it by road. Some long days, but beautiful countryside to see, which is why overlanding is good. But if someone wanted to do some independent travel or self-drive, that sort of leads back to my language question that I know the answer because I experienced it, but I'd like you to, again, basically reiterate it, that if you are traveling independently or self-driving between towns and you're stopping in smaller villages, a lack of Arabic or French will not impede you in any way in communicating or getting assistance if needed.
It could. It could, because it's either Arabic in some smaller villages, it's Berber or Amazigh that is spoken. So my recommendation always is go with a travel company, let somebody else do the driving. It's a beautiful country. Why don't you just sit on the back seat and soak it all in? Why do you want to get into the hassle of driving and getting lost?
Yeah, for sure. And we did find too, because of all the driving we did when we did stop at little villages and stuff, there was generally someone who could speak enough English, and if not, it was all basic, hand signals and stuff. It was all very easy to get around. On that note too, we visited one or two cooperatives throughout Morocco run by women. So I think Morocco would be one of the more forward-thinking when it comes to female empowerment. So if we have any solo women travelers out there, is it a country that is, again, conducive to a solo woman traveler?
Absolutely. It's one of the countries that sees a lot of solo women travelers, as well as women groups go in, because it's a country that welcomes and empowers women, and it is safe. The fact that the oldest university was started by a woman back in 859-80 to these co-ops today that you mentioned, Don, that are run by women. And it is a country which pushes women to go out there and shine.
Yeah.
So it is a country respecting women.
Yeah, for sure. Many Muslim countries are quite liberal and quite forward-thinking with respect to females. And I only say that because a lot of people, and I mean now, not our agents, but their clients may perceive a Muslim country, therefore it's a bit repressive. It's probably one of the least repressive of the Muslim countries out there. So it should not impede a female traveller or people in general wanting to visit Morocco if they have any issues with that, because it's not really an issue. Well, it's not an issue in Morocco, from my experience, from history, and also what Mahima is presenting to us today as well. Is due to the huge coastline that Morocco has all along the Atlantic and the proximity it has to places like Tenerife, Madeira, which are both Spanish and Portuguese territories in the Atlantic, does Morocco have beach resorts?
Yes. In Agadir, in Taghazout, in Dakhla, those are the places We talked about Agadir as well, having all-inclusive beach resorts. Those, there are resorts from Fairmont, Sofitel, Club Med, available across Morocco. Yes.
Yeah, and I don't think a client would speak to our agents about flying all the way to Morocco for a beach resort, because there's much more to Morocco than that. But we do find that some of our itineraries that we create, and we'll touch on those in a minute as well, that they're quite active in that, you're seeing and doing a lot of things, whether you're climbing a mountain or on the back of a camel, it's not the point. Just by going around and seeing 3 or 4 cities in the space of 10, 12 days can be hectic and tiring in itself. And a lot of clients look for 2 or 3 days at the end of that itinerary to chill out and relax. And you can do that in a city, in Riyadh, with their beautiful central pools. Or often we get asked about, maybe can I get some beach time if there is such an option. And as Mahima just presented, there are options for some downtime, beach time, in an all-inclusive resort if that is your client's thing. You put up on screen a choice of itineraries touching on all the big highlights. I'd just like to go over, well, not them in particular, but just let our agents know, if you haven't worked with us before, that as Mahima presented some ideas, the itineraries on our website are general travel ideas. They can be taken as listed, like literally off the shelf. But generally speaking, we will customize those based on clients' budget, likes, dislikes, that type of thing. So when it comes to itineraries, please review back in the webinar what our expert here, Mahima, has presented. But you'll see pretty much a mirror reflection on goa.com with those, and you can go in there and then you can add and subtract. Do 3-star all the way through and a nice 5-star at the end, 5-star the whole way, a bit of Riyadh, a bit of beach resort, combinations of all active, luxurious, the whole thing we can mix and match for you. And as I mentioned, we're also an air consolidator, so we can get you that flight from LA or New York or Montreal or Toronto. I think you've covered it pretty well in your webinar, Mahima. Is there anything else you'd like to leave our travel agents with about Morocco? Any upcoming festivals or events that they should be aware of? We did speak to Tenerife a couple of weeks ago, and I think they're gearing themselves for the solar eclipses coming this year and next year. Is there anything like that happening in Morocco this year or next year?
Not happening in Morocco, but FIFA is the fever right now, happening all over, and FIFA will be going to Morocco. It'll be 3 countries, so Portugal, Morocco, and Spain in 2030.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, so that's where they're heading next.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yes.
we found out here in Toronto, as Mahima can attest to now, and I know she's from Toronto, that hotels all got booked up pretty quickly. So if you have clients who are looking at FIFA, as they're all inspired by FIFA happening here in the US, Mexico, and Canada, look to Morocco, Spain, and Portugal in 2030, I think you said.
Yes.
You have a group as well. Now would be the time to plan and get some accommodation blocked off if you have any football fans, soccer fans out there as well. Any other things that you'd like to let our agents know about Morocco?
Morocco is open.
Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing you there.
Okay. So it's a beautiful country. As I say, I went there a couple of years ago. I went in with no expectations, but left, mesmerized by it. Again, people who know me through our webinars, academy, and podcasts know I like my history. It is historically rich, culturally rich, food to die for, be it Moroccan, be it Western. Because it is at the crossroads, there's a good blend of everything there, from traditional Arabic to French to Western, the whole thing. Accommodation choices from, hostels all the way up to stunning, luxurious stuff, beautiful activities. They are listed on the itineraries that Mahima presented, anything from hot air ballooning, trekking the Atlas Mountains, camel rides, horseback riding, cooking lessons. There's homestays. You can visit women co-ops. It's a fantastic melting pot of everything from activities, culinary, cultural activities in Morocco. It's easy to get to. Be it from North America, obviously it's very easy to connect to from Europe if your clients have booked a European trip. There's nothing wrong. Of course, we'd like your clients to spend more time in Morocco, but if they're in Spain or Portugal or even France, getting down to Morocco is very, very easy. A lot of the English and French, pop down there for their little weekends even. So always consider Morocco too as a secondary or third country to a mainland Western European itinerary, but ideally look at it, and it's well deserving of a standalone itinerary. One last question for you. I know it was on your itineraries,
Sure.
but what do you recommend as the perfect length of time, excluding flights to and from, to see the best of Morocco, Mahima? How many days?
How much time do you have?
Well, for the average, again,
Yeah, so
let's think a North American traveller, taking the flights out of it, how many days should they set aside for the best of Morocco?
I would say at least 12 days. That'll get you a good immersive experience in Morocco. For somebody who doesn't have that time, and I understand that as well, 6 days, at least do 7 to 8 days, because you can get through Casablanca, Rabat, Marrakech, Essaouira, touch in the go over to the Agafay, go to the Atlas Mountain. You get a flavor of Morocco. But for those who've got a little more time to be able to go up to Fez or Chefchaouen or Tangier, or even include Ouarzazate, there's more time needed. And that's why the 12, 13 days is a good time. So the 2-week mark plus the 2 days for travel, that'll fit in very well. But if they've got time, you can spend an easy 21 days in Morocco.
Of course. So there you go. On average, anywhere with flights, say 9 up to 15, 16 days. That's including probably a day at either end of flying to and from. And again, quite a lot of our clients, in turn your clients out there, they have that time. They're retired, semi-retired, so they could probably squeeze that 21 days in as well.
Exactly.
Again, for a dedicated Morocco itinerary, 10 to 15. And again, you could add 3 or 4 days on the end or the beginning of something, Spain, Portugal, France, or anywhere in Western Europe as well. So it's got a double hit, standalone or as an add-on to another European destination. So on that note, I'd like to thank Mahima for her patience. And I say that because we tried this a couple of days ago and had some technical issues. And she could hear me, but I couldn't hear her, so we had to reschedule. So, Mahima, thank you for your understanding and patience there. And, of course, your knowledge, and I can tell your love of Morocco came through in your presentation. And, as always, to you out there, thank you for giving us about an hour of your time today. We know how busy you are. And until next time.
Take care.